Hare Krishna. Omagyanatimanvasya Snanslaka Section Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So today we will continue with chapter 12, the creation of the Kumaras and others.
Recording in progress.
So last part, the first part of this chapter, Lord Brahma has created his 5 forms of illusion, because everyone in this world tries to be God in the sense that they think themselves the enjoyer and the proprietor of things, the controller. So Brahma creates these 5 forms of illusion so that we can believe that we are God. By this we forget our real identity. So after creating these illusions, Brahma created 4 principles of knowledge. The 4 Kumaras, Sankhya, Yoga, Tapas, and renunciation, Vairagya. But then we heard how they refused to follow Brahma's order to help with the population of the universe. They refused for a higher reason, that and Lord Brahma became angry, and from his anger 12 Ruddras were born. And the good thing was they followed this order to help with the procreation, the population of the universe. But then, yes, they started to destroy everything at the beginning of the creation. So Lord Brahma instructed them to meditate, come to goodness, meditate on the Supreme Lord in the heart, so that their nature of passion ignorance would not become manifest. And then Lord Shiva created again good sons, that the Prajapatis, so many are mentioned. So now we are text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dharmastanat Dakshinato Yatra Narayana Svayam Adharma Prishtato Yasman Mrityu Loka Bhayankara. Religion was manifested from the breast of Brahma, wherein is seated the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. And irreligion appeared from his back, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. So, religion means devotional service to the personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada writes, Bhagavad Gita speaks about religion. Bhagavad Gita 18, 65-66. Manmana bhav madbhakto machi mam namaskar mama vaishasa satyam te pratichoini prayosime. Sarvadharmam prachiyam mamikam sram vajam tvam sarvapabhyo mokshishyam machicha. So this is religion, devotional service. And that, so Srimad Bhagavatam, already from the first canto we have heard that the Bhagavatam confirms that the perfection of religion is that which leads to devotional service, and which is unmotivated and unhampered by material impediments. So religion perfect form is devotional service to the Lord, represents the front of the Lord, and irreligion is just the opposite, the back of the Lord. Anything which does not lead to devotional service to the Lord is irreligion. And anything which leads to devotional service is called religion. So if we go back to the second canto, chapter 6, verse 10, there we hear, the back of the Lord is a place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immorality. From his veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on his bones are stacked the great mountains. The purport. In order to defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a systematic analysis of the physiological and anatomical constitution of his transcendental body is given here. It is clear from the available description of the Lord, his universal form, that the form of the Lord is distinct from the forms of ordinary mundane conception. In any case, he is never a formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord. So Nirvishesha Sunyavadi is the back of the Lord. It's here the formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord. And therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of man is also not separated from his bodily conception. Since his body is the complete whole of everything that be, one cannot assert that he is impersonal only. On the contrary, the perfect description of the Lord holds that he is both impersonal and personal simultaneously. The personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Lord, and his impersonal emanation is but a reflection of his transcendental body. Those who are fortunate enough to have a view of the Lord from the front can realize his personal feature, whereas those who are frustrated and are thus kept on the ignorant side of the Lord, or in other words, those who have the view of the Lord from the back, realize his impersonal feature. Interesting. In the back of the Lord, impersonalism, Srila Prabhupada says here. We have also heard in the first canto about the back of the Lord, irreligion. There, Srila Vyasadeva in the 7th chapter has his vision. He has a vision because he following the instructions of Srila Vyasadeva, he start to meditate on the absolute truth with devotion, and he sees ignorance and knowledge or religion and irreligion at the same time. So in the purport of 174, Srila Prabhupada writes, the internal potency or superior energy is called Maya, but it is spiritual Maya or energy exhibited in the absolute realm. When one is under the shelter of the internal energy potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. So he saw side by side religion and irreligion, or that. And even those who are Atmaram or fixed in trance can take shelter of this Maya or internal energy. Devotional service or Bhakti Yoga is a function of the eternal energy, and that's the front of the Lord. Thus, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy, just as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of spiritual light, Such internal energy is even superior to the spiritual bliss attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman, that we are the nectar of devotion. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from the absolute personality of Goddess Sri Krishna, so that's the backside. The Parama Purush cannot be anyone except Krishna himself, as will be explained in later slokas. So that is purport 174. So now we go to text 26. 26. Edikamo bhuvakodo lobasarat datshadat asyat vakshino davamedran nirittipayo agasraya. Lust and desire became manifest from the heart of Brahma. Anger from between his eyebrows, greed from his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. So, someone willing to read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Please, Ambika, read.
Thank you very much. A conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desire for low activities until one is in the line of devotional service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows, whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. A devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless, because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. The power of speaking is called Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, and the birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahma. Even if a man is endowed with the favor of the goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire, and his eyebrows to display symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but that does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith.
Thank you. So the main points made here in the purport is that nobody can become desireless. Desireless means that one only desires for the pleasure of the Lord, not desire anything destructive to spiritual values. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. So you have So the purport also speaks about, yes, Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows, whereas the devotee of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Lord on the seat of their minds. So there are two processes to control anger here. One is for the devotee, the other is for the yogis. Now text 27. Chayaya kardamo jahye deva hutya pati prabhum manasadya tashedam jahye vishvakito jarat. The sage Kardama, husband of the great devotee, was manifested from the shadow. This all became manifested from either the body or the mind of Brahma. So one can say, why are bad children born of good people? So Srila Prabhupada explains here in the purport, there is always a mixture of the modes. So purport, although one of the three modes of material nature is always prominent, they are never represented unalloyed by one another. Even in the most prominent case of the two lower qualities, the modes of passion and ignorance, there is sometimes a tinge of the mode of goodness. Therefore, all the sons generated from the body or the mind of Brahma were in the mode of goodness, were in the mode of passion and ignorance, and some of them, like Kardama, were born in the mode of goodness. Narada was born in the transcendental state of Brahma. So, we see here that Kardama came from the shadow of Brahma. So it was like it represents that the Brahma's mode of goodness, a shadow of that. Interesting, we can say Brahma creates all these living entities, gives them bodies according to his consciousness. So that's interesting, Brahma is doing that, but we are also doing that. 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yam yam vapis brahmavam tayant ante kalevaram. Whatever consciousness one has at the time of death, that will one attain again. We are creating our future bodies with the contamination of our consciousness with the modes. And according to that combination, we get a body. The difference is here, Brahma, he can do that instantly, but he has to create different kinds of living entities and give their bodies according to different modes. So he comes in contact with all these modes and has to change the mode, and sometimes the mode of passion is very dangerous. And we will see there will be an accident on the royal road soon for Brahma. So text 28. Vacham duitaram tam vim svayambhu haratim mana akamam sakamekshata sakama itina shutam. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter, Vak, who was born from his body, and who attracted his mind towards sex, although he was not sexually inclined towards him. She was not. So that's... So... Can someone read the first paragraph of the purport?
Balavan Indriyagramo Vidvangsam Apikarshati. Srimad Bhagavatam 9:19-17. It is said that the senses are so mad and strong that they can bewilder even the most sensible and learned man. Therefore it is advised that one should not indulge in living alone even with one's mother, sister or daughter. Vidvangsang apikarshati means that even the most learned also become victims of the sensuous urge. Maitreya hesitated to state this anomaly on the part of Brahma, who was sexually inclined to his own daughter, but still he mentioned it because sometimes it so happens, and the living example is Brahma himself, although he is the primeval living being and the most learned within the whole universe. If Brahma could be a victim of the sexual urge, then what of others who are prone to so many mundane frailties? This extraordinary immortality on the part of Brahma was heard to have occurred in some particular kalpa. Sorry, not immortality, I think it must be immorality. Has been occurred in some particular kalpa, but it could not have happened in the kalpa in which Brahma heard directly from the Lord the 4 essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Lord blessed Brahma after giving him lessons on the Bhagavatam, that he would never be bewildered in any kalpa whatsoever. This indicates that before the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam he might have fallen a victim to such sensuality, but after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures.
So that's interesting, this question. Why could Brahma fall down after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? And the answer here is that was, previous kalpa, before he heard the Bhagavatam. So before hearing the Bhagavatam, he might have fallen a victim to such sensuality, but after hearing from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. So that's an interesting point. But in the second paragraph, there Srila Prabhupada gives us a warning. Someone is wanting to read the second paragraph?
I can read.
Please.
One should, however, take serious note of this incident. The human being is a social animal, and his unrestricted mixing with the fair sex leads to downfall. Such social freedom of man and woman, especially among the younger section, is certainly a great stumbling block on the path of spiritual progress. Material bondage is due only to sexual bondage, and therefore unrestricted association of man and woman is surely a great impediment. Maitreya cited this example on the part of Brahma just to bring to our notice this great danger.
Okay, a warning. Text 29. Tata dharmekatamma tim vilokya pitram sutta marichim makya manayo vishrambat pratyabodayam. Thus finding their father so deluded in an act of immorality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. That the purport. The sages like Marichi were not in the wrong in submitting their protest against the acts of their father. They knew very well that even though their father committed a mistake, there must have been a great purpose behind the show. Otherwise, such a great personality could not have committed such a mistake. It might be that Brahma wanted to warn his subordinates about human frailties in their dealing with women. This is always very dangerous for persons who are on the path of self-realization. Therefore, great personalities like Brahma, even when in the wrong, should not be neglected, nor could the great sages headed by Marichi show any disrespect because of his extraordinary behavior. So interesting the sons, the sages, the Marichis, they were very respectful. They were thinking there must be a purpose behind it. But the sons of Marichi, they were not so respectful. And they criticized Lord Brahma. So I want to go with you to the 10th canto. It's 10th canto to some chapters which we are presently discussing in the Bhaktivedanta. Canto 10, chapter 85. 85, Lord Krishna instructs Vasudeva and retrieves Devaki's sons. And there, text 47, 48, 49. There it is. The Supreme Lord said, during the age of the first Manu, the sage Marichi had 6 sons by his wife Urna. They were all exalted demigods, but once they laughed at Lord Brahma when they saw him preparing to have sex with his own daughter. Because of that improper act, they immediately entered a demoniac form of life, and thus they took birth as sons of Hiranyakashipu. The goddess Yogamaya then took them away from Hiranyakashipu, and they were born again from Devaki's womb. After this, O king, Kamsa murdered them. Devaki still laments for them, thinking them as their sons. These same sons of Marichi are now living here with you. That's Krishna speaking to Bali Maharaj. He's saying these sons of Marichi are living with you. So the birth of sons of Hiranyakashipu, this is the history. They criticized Brahma, but not the Marichis. They remained respectful, and they were only asking a question. But the sons of Marichi became Hiranyakashipu's sons, and then later the sons of Kalanemi. Then Kalanemi took birth against Kamsa and has to kill his own sons. There's a whole story, but it starts all with being irrespectful to Brahma. Something to be very careful with. Now text 30, we are going back. Contents up, back to the 3rd canto. 12, text 31. Teyasamapi etan nasuslokam jaratkaro yatvitam anutishtam pailokam kshemaya kalpate. Even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you, because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. You are the head of the Sampradaya, the Guru. You should give the example, they say. But, yes, that you can read. That was. Did we read text 30? No. Sorry, I skipped a verse. Well, 31st. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attended by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt in the future. You are the Supreme Being in the universe, so how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and you cannot control your desire? Purport. The post of Brahma is the supermost post in the universe, and it appears that there are many Brahmas and many universes besides the one in which we are situated. At least the marriages, they are aware of that. One who fills this post must be ideal in behavior, for Brahma sets the example for all living entities. Brahma, the living entity who is the most pious and spiritually elevated, is entrusted with a post next to that of the personality of Godhead. Now, this text 31 we read, but about the 6 sons of Kamsa. They were they are mentioned. It's just interesting, and I want to give you these details also. So we are going to the 10th canto, chapter 1, text 69. These 6 are mentioned there. Yeah. No, it's not the right verse. But the 6 sons of Kalanemi are called the Sadgarbhas, and they are mentioned in the 2nd chapter of the 10th canto. Let's see, and their names are mentioned here, I think. 10 to 8. Yeah, it's here. Can someone read the last paragraph?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Please read and begin.
Symbolically, Mother Devaki's constant fear of Kamsa was purifying her. A pure devotee should always fear material association, and in this way all the asuras of material association will be killed. As the Garbhasuras were killed by Kamsa. It is said that from the mind, Marichi appears. In other words, Marichi is an incarnation of the mind. Marichi has 6 sons, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in pure devotional service. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Bhaktir evainam darshayati. Only bhakti can bring one in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared from the womb of Devaki, and therefore Devaki symbolically represents bhakti, and Kamsa symbolically represents material fear. When a pure devotee always fears material association, his real position of bhakti is manifested, and he naturally becomes uninterested in material enjoyment. When the 6 sons of Marichi are killed by such fear and one is freed from material contamination, within the womb of Bhakti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears. Thus, the seventh pregnancy of Devaki signifies the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the 6 sons, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya are killed, the Sesha incarnation creates a suitable situation for the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, when one awakens his natural Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna appears. This is the explanation given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
So this is the history of these Marichis, the sons of Marichi, who criticized Brahma. Who are they? Sons of Marichi, who represents the mind. Interesting. Let's now go back to the third canto. Now these Marichis and these demigods, they will start praying for Brahma. And their prayer starts in 32. Let us offer our respectful obeisance to the personality of Godhead, who by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifest this cosmos, may also protect religion for all goodness. So the Lord gives protection to the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service. And by his causeless mercy forgives the accidental fall down of a devotee. Bhagavad Gita 9:30. Apishacha characharo bhajanti mamana yabhakshadra eva samantavya samyak vafasitoisa. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, is to be considered saintly, because he is properly situated in his determination. So we see Brahma fell down, but he rectified himself. He rectified himself. We hear the 33. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapatis' sons speaking in this way, became very much ashamed, and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later that body appeared in all directions as a dangerous fog in darkness. So for Brahma, giving up his body means he gave up his mental disposition. So this is a lesson for all living entities, showing how sinful an act is to indulge in unrestricted sex life. The most dangerous type of sinful act is unrestricted sex life. So the feature of ignorance is darkness or fog. One who takes shelter of the Lord, the perpetual light, has no fear of being annihilated or in the darkness of fog or ignorance. Text 34. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking how to create the worlds in the past millennium, the 4 Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his mouth. That's 34, right? Yes. So now I would like to go to the 11th canto. That's canto 11, chapter 5, text 42. No, that's canto 10, sorry, canto 11, 5. 42. So here we will hear about Brahma's rectification. So when one has thus given up all other engagements and has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to such sin. And this verse, Abhyachacharacha Mananyaba Bhajate Mananyabak Sadriv Samandafyam Samya Vava situation is quoted in the purport that so this is an interesting purport that so Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord. He got only a little punishment, but by the grace of the Lord he did not lose his prestige as the great Brahma. So we have two lessons here to learn in this verse. First go back to the third canto, text 34, text 12, 34. Yeah, so that's, we should not criticize, that's the first thing, but a great person must act to set the example. And the third thing we learn here, the Lord protect the devotees. And the third point is the devotee should always pray for protection. So these are all different angles in the same pastime. In Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada said once to the devotee, the difference between you and me is that you can fall down, I will not fall down. And a little later, Srila Prabhupada was praying before the deities, and an intelligent devotee asked Prabhupada, what are you praying for? And Srila Prabhupada said, oh, I'm praying to the Lord to please not let me fall down. And this is why I'm not falling down, because I'm always praying. So that's interesting. The devotee should always pray for protection. So different angles. Of course, the Bhagavatam gives different angles of devotees who had fallen and were forgiven. Sixth canto we will hear from Ajamil. We will, in the 10th canto, Nala Kuvera Manigriva, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chagai and Madai, also Bilva Mangaltaku. So many stories that. So 35. The 4 kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice became manifest. The performer, the chanter, the offerer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of supplementary Vedas. Also the 4 principles of religiosity, truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, and the duties in the 4 orders, all became manifest. Someone can read a small purport of 30 to 35, please.
Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating are the four principles of material bodily demands which are common to both the animals and human society. To distinguish human society from the animals, there is the performance of religious activities in terms of the social statuses and orders of life. They are all clearly mentioned in the Vedic literatures and were manifested by Brahma when the four Vedas were generated from his four mouths. Thus, the duties of humankind in terms of the statuses and social orders were established to be observed by the civilized man. Those who traditionally follow these principles are called Aryans, or progressive human beings.
So now we are hearing about things which are helpful for maintenance. The four orders of society, the prescribed duties of humankind, and so on. 36. Vidura said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how, with whose help, Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. Maitreya said, so beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva, became manifest. Thereafter Vedic hymns, which had not been pronounced before, priestly rituals, the subject matters of the recitation, and transcendental activities were all established, one after another. That text 38. He also created the medical science, military art, a musical art, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front face. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about Upapuran, the supplements of the Vedas. That there are so many things there. The art of flying in an airplane is a science in the Vedas, Srila Prabhupada says. So, yeah, we know from the Vedic knowledge, was described before in the Bhagavata, the 115. First, the Atharva Veda appeared, which was then divided in four, Rig, Sama, Yajur and Atharva, and then they had the Upanishads and so on. So this Vedic knowledge we heard is infallible. It goes on for millions of years. It explains the essence, explains about incarnations, about kings. And in 39 we hear about the fifth Veda. He created the fifth Veda, the Puranas and the histories, from all his mouths, since he could see all past, present and future. That's very interesting. The histories. It's said in the Sanskrit, Panchanam Vedam, the fifth Veda. Very clearly it says, these are the Puranas and the histories, the short purport. There are histories of particular countries and nations and of the world, but the Puranas are the histories of the universe, not only in 1 millennium, but in many kalpas. Brahma has knowledge of those historical facts, therefore all the Puranas are histories. As originally composed by Brahma, they are part of the Vedas, called the fifth Veda. So Itihasa, Iti and Ha, that's Iti, thus, and Ha means real, actual, and Asa means happened. So that's what really happened. The history, it's quoting the history before they were happening in the future. That's the Vedas. Very interesting. 40, 41. All the different varieties of sacrifices, and all these names are there, came manifested from the eastern mouth of Brahma. Education, charity, penance, and truth are said to be the four legs of religion, and to learn this, there are four orders of life with different classifications of castes, and according to vocation, Brahma created all these in systematic order. So, the combined actions of all the members of society makes the whole situation favorable for the upliftment of the mission of human life. The highest purificatory process is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the purest of the pure. So this 42. Then the thread ceremony for the twice born was inaugurated. So were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunction, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada refers to his spiritual master as a Naistiki Brahmachari. So this is text 42, that of course that then we have 43. The four divisions of retired life are the Vaikanas, Valakilyas, Audumbaras, and Venapas. The four divisions of renounced order of life are Kuchikas, Baudavs, Hamsa, and Niskriyas, and were manifested from Brahma. So in text 43, 42 also, there it was this, these are also rules for Grihastas. That, of course, that is confirmed also in the 7th canto. All these duties are mentioned here. But the duty of Grihasta, that what did Srila Prabhupada wanted the Grihastas to do? So I will go to the 1st canto for this. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, text chapter 17, 38. So here, Srila Prabhupada makes different points. You can read it yourself, that it's especially this point 3 for Grihastas, duties of Grihastas. I mentioned in this point 3. The citizens of the state must give in charity up to 50% of their income for the purpose of creating a spiritual atmosphere in the state or in human society, both individually and collectively. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam by, this is what they should do, karma yoga, or doing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. Regular hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized person or realized souls. Third is chanting the glories of the Lord congregationally at home or at place of worship. rendering all kinds of service to Bhagavatas, engaged in preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, and residing in a place where the atmosphere is saturated with God consciousness. If the state is regulated by the above proofs, naturally there will be God conscious everywhere. That's interesting. That is what Srila Prabhupada Hyastas wanted to do. That we have also heard about the Vanaprasthas, Vanacharis, the knowledge created by Brahman. That, of course, we can hear more about this in the fourth canto, in the seventh canto. All the duties are there. But it's a story of duty of a Grihastha. It was a devotee, a Grihastha came to Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm a Grihastha, what's my duty? And Srila Prabhupada explained that you ask your wife to cook. After she cooked, you offer it to the deities. And then after offering, you go outside and call three times, everyone who is hungry, please come and eat. And then you serve first the guest. But the devotee said, but Prabhupada, I think you did not understand me. What are, I'm Grihastha, what are my duties? And Srila Prabhupada repeated, you ask your wife to cook, and then after offering to the deities, you go outside and call out 3 times, who is hungry, please come. Anyway, the devotee was not satisfied. Srila Prabhupada repeated it 3 times, but that's the duty of Grihasthas, to be charitable. That's at first point Karma Yoga. That is part of the duties of Grihasthas. Okay, back to the third canto, text 43. Yeah, 12. Oh, too early. '43. Yeah, we read already 44. This was 43 was about the Vanaprasthas and the Vanacharis, and now the science of logical argument, the Vedic goals, and also law and order, moral codes, and the celebrated hymns, Bu, Bhuva, and Sva, all became manifestations from the mouths of Brahma, and the Pranava Omkar was manifested from his heart. Thereafter, the art of literary expression was generated from the airs of the body of the Almighty Prajapati. The principal Vedic hymn Gayatri was generated from the skin, Tristup from the flesh, Anustup from the veins, and Jagati from the bones of the living entities. Interesting. The art of writing verse, Bhakti, became manifested from the bone marrow, and that of Priyati, another type of verse, was generated from the life breath of the Lord of the living entities. Why they are coming from this part of the body, no idea, but it's a fact. Brahma's soul was manifested as the touch alphabets, his body as the vowels, his senses as the sibilant alphabets, his strength as the intermediate alphabets, and his sensual activities as the 7 notes of music. So this purport is a bit too enigmatic for me. But Srila Prabhupada makes a point that all these sound vibrations are originally called Sabda Brahman, or spiritual sound. So Brahma was created as the incarnation of spiritual sound. So Brahma is a very elevated soul. So Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is a complete form of the Absolute Truth and is invested with multifarious energies. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on the post of Brahma. So someone can read the purport. It's on the screen.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, please read.
Thank you. The post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within the universe, and it is offered to the most perfect personality of the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to become Brahma when there is no suitable living being to occupy the post. In the material world, Brahma is the complete representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound, Pranava, comes from him. He is therefore invested with multifarious energies, from which all the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are manifested. His transcendental value is not to be minimized, even though he exhibited a tendency to enjoy his own daughter. There is a purpose for the exhibition of such a tendency by Brahma, and he is not to become condemned like an ordinary living entity.
So, thereafter Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in a matter of further creation. So purport, in his further body which was transcendental, affection for sex was forbidden, and Brahma therefore had to accept another body to allow himself to be connected with sex, and thus engaged himself in a matter of creation. His former body transformed into fog, as previously described. Text 50. O son of Kurus, where Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of great sages, of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population could be increased. So that will be the beginning of the creation of the first humans. First humans he will create. Satarupa and Svayambhuva Manu. So Brahma thought of himself, alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being scattered all over, there is still insufficient population throughout the universe. There is no other cause for this misfortune but destiny. 42. While he was thus absorbed in contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, two other forms were generated from his body. They are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. So two bodies came out of Brahma, purport. One had a mustache and the other swollen breasts. No one can explain the source of their manifestation, and therefore until today they are known as Kayam, or the body of Brahma, with no indication of their relationship as his son or daughter. And the first human beings. So, Srila Prabhupada, that's Brahma said here, yes, there's no other cause for misfortune but destiny. So, karma devanetrana. Everyone's birth is destined by karma, and even the supervision of Deva is done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahma knows this. Good. The two newly separated bodies united together in sexual relationship. Out of them, the one who had the male form became known as the Manu, named Swayambhuva, and the woman became known as Satarupa, the queen of the great soul Manu. Thereafter, by sex indulgence, they gradually increased generations of population one after another. O son of Bharat, in due course of time, Manu got in Satarupa 5 children, the sons Priyavrata and Uttanapat, and the 3 daughters Akuti, Devoti, and Prashuti. So we will hear in the next cantos of the Bhagavatam about all the descendants of these, up till the 9th canto. So, yes, 57. The father, Manu, handed over his daughter, Akuti, to the great sage Ruchi, the middle daughter, Devoti, to the sage Kardama, and the youngest, Prashuti, to Daksha. From then, all the world filled with population. So can someone read the last purport, please?
The history of the creation of the population of the universe is given herewith. Brahma is the original living creature in the universe, from whom were generated the Manu Swayambhuva and his wife Shatarupa. From Manu, 2 sons and 3 daughters were born, and from them all the population in different planets has sprung up until now. Therefore, Brahma is known as the grandfather of everyone, and the personality of Godhead, being the father of Brahma, is known as the great-grandfather of all living beings. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita as follows. Should I read the Sanskrit?
No, just translate.
You are the Lord of Air, the Supreme Justice Yama, the Fire, and the Lord of Rains. You are the Moon, and you are the great-grandfather. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of the Kumaras and Others.
So finally, Brahma is successful in his mission, although in the next chapter we will hear again about some obstacles. Any questions, please? Comments? Yes, Shyamana, no problem, please.
Yeah, Maharaj. Sorry, I was away a little bit. I had a student myself, not like to work. So, as I understood properly, Brahma has to create all this progeny again every of his days, and even during his day, some of the planets are destructed, and then he has to again recreate some of the life forms. Did I understand that properly?
Yeah, there are the 4 kinds of annihilation described in the Bhagavatam. That you have a partial annihilation that happens when in the middle of Brahma's day when he takes a nap, and then all the planetary systems are underwater, and only Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maraloka, the highest ones, they remain safe. And then of course there is also an annihilation at the end of Brahma's day, like you are saying. Every day you must start creating again. Of course there is another manifestation at the end of Brahma's life. There's a 3rd one. And the 4th annihilation is when all the cosmic manifestations enters again into the body of Karanodakasaya Vishnu. That's a final one. So that's these four, they are there. Yeah, and every time Brahma must start creating. And every time he forgot how to do that. And Krishna must give him knowledge from within. And without this knowledge, he cannot do that. Yes, that's quite a serious job. Yes, always creating again and again and again. That, but yes, but it is that these higher planetary systems, because in Vedic cosmology you will see that in the 5th canto, these higher planetary systems near to Satyaloka, they are far, far away. Like when the distance between us and Indraloka is likely, say, 100 million kilometers or whatever, I'm just saying something, then from there to Brahma is trillions and trillions of, it's so far away, we cannot imagine that. Yeah, this is explained in the 5th canto. And yeah, every day you must create again. That's true. That's quite a job. But of course, for us, a day of Brahma, it's so long. We can, that 1,000 millenniums, that it's a long time. 74 manus. It was in each manu lives for, lives a long time. That anyway, this is all further explained in the Bhagavatam. Yeah. Something else? Good, then we will continue on Monday. So I'm in Bulgaria now. Tomorrow I'm traveling back. I'm traveling to Belgium, hopefully. If Corona, you never know. You try to travel, but if you are going to fly, I got it a few times that maybe Corona not easy. But if Krishna willing, then we are there together on Monday. Monday we will have chapter 13, first part, appearance of Lord Varadev. We will be together till Thursday. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, see, Lila Madhuri, she has a point to make. So please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj, my doubt is, if I understood correctly, Brahma hears, he gets the knowledge every time before he could create this material world. And in 12th chapter 28th verse, Prabhupada says that this indicates that before the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, he might have fallen a victim to such sensuality, but after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. So was there any kalpa in which Brahma did not hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the Lord?
It seems here, that is what in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this indicates that before hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, he might have fallen a victim to such sensuality, but after hearing the Bhagavatam, there was no possibility. So it seems to be in a kalpa before he received the 4 essential verses of the Bhagavatam to the heart. That is what Srila Prabhupada writes. And that which kalpa, I don't know, but that's what Prabhupada indicates. Hare Krishna.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Jai.